Oh, oh. Oh. Can you see me? Can you see me? Is that the top of my... Hello, it's Jane here. I'm up at the plot. It's the end of February, and today what I'm hoping to do is just bring you an end of February tour, or as I was going to call it, the tour that nearly wasn't. And you'll see why in a moment, because yeah, there's been a few bits and pieces going on, including several storms. So for example, if you have a little look at this bush sort of yay high in front of me here, it sort of looks like, oh, Jane must be standing in a new place, or maybe she's been and gone and planted a nice new bush for some reason whatsoever, we don't know. What it is actually the honeysuckle arch, which is normally here. And guess who's to blame for that? Storm Eunice. Let's have a little look. Yep, there we have it. The arch itself has not just blown over, but look what I'm doing here. I'm actually walking on top of the raspberry prunings as well. It's a minefield. Look, I've got the raspberry prunings here, I've got a blooming spiky gooseberry here, and this bit here is the entrance to the plot. So it's a little bit dangerous at the moment. Ow! Oh, I got caught. Oh. Anyway, if we look down here, you can see that, I know they're only cheap and cheerful, these posts, but yeah, that's not good, is it? So what I'm going to try and do, I mean, there's the base of the poor plant there. What I'm going to try and do is use a few of those rebars. I'm not going back out there again. A few of those rebars to try and prop it up. So a couple of metal bars each side, and we will just see if we can resurrect the poor old honeysuckle. I mean, look at this here. Poor thing. So this is now completely the wrong angle. It's sort of gone round 90 degrees, and look, the jasmine's growing up it as well. The jasmine's doing really, really well. So yeah, we will have to give it a go, but not today. Just while I'm passing though, have a little look at this shenanigan. As you can see there, that's the frame which has gone oof over there. Well, that was sort of hiding this carry-on, which is basically a whole load of, I think that's poinsettia. We've got a bramble growing through it, which is incredibly prickly. I don't know if you can see it. And then we've got some what were quite small gooseberry bushes when we moved in, that have now developed into really lovely, healthy bushes. And what have we put behind there? It's the Dalek composter. So you can see that now may be the time to liberate the compost bin, because before we go putting that the honeysuckle arch back up, maybe it's a good time to get that out and put it somewhere where it's just a little bit more accessible. I really don't know what we were thinking when we put it there in the first place, but anyway, we've you know, happily ignored it for the last couple of years, so it might surprise us with some really, really lovely compost. But another job for the ever-growing to-do list. Now, if you saw the January tour, you'll know that the Grapevine was really due a very good pruning. So I have done that. And one of the reasons I was thinking of delaying the tour was I've been incredibly lazy and I just haven't cleaned up after myself. So I've got all of this stuff to pick up. But come on, at least I pruned the Grapevine. Let me show you what I found though, which isn't too good. You see, I have to walk over it now. It's my own fault. What I did, I pruned it back to some strong buds. Can you see that there? Let's have a look. Yeah, some nice strong buds coming there. The ideal is to prune it back to 2, but I think now I've been doing it for a few years. I just prune it back to really good strong buds, and it seems quite vicious at first, but it's not. They really recover very, very well. But what I did find, let me see where I can see some now. Okay, what I found when I was pruning away was what looks like these tiny little buds here that I thought were just that. I thought they were just buds of the Grapevine. They look very, very similar, but if you knock that, you can see that that is white underneath, and that is the sign of oh, there's a big posh name for it, but it's basically a scale insect, and they don't do a great amount of harm on their own to your grapevine, but they suck the sap, and by doing so they encourage ants which come and farm them, and as we know with ants and greenfly, before you know it your plant is overtaken by them. So yeah, I'm going to have to try and find hopefully an organic way to get rid of them, because it's one of those things, the more you look, you see that one there, the more you start to see this one there, and they're so well disguised that I think it's going to have to be a wash of some sort. But if you've got any knowledge as to what to do organic wise for scale insects, or if you've had them yourself, look, here we go, look at this, they do just look like buds. I'm trying not to get my own light here. You see that there? Do let me know, because our crops, our grape crops have just been beautiful. I don't want anything really to jeopardise them this year. Greenhouse number 2, still being used as storage. So for example, I've got the potatoes that I chitted. Got to be really careful here. I've got the sun right behind me. Can you see that? Which I put in here. Very interesting discussions whether to chit or not to chit on the last video, so I'll put a link to it somewhere. They're not doing anything yet, but they look quite happy. What I would do, and what people suggested, was just keep checking if you've got them in any sort of plastic container. Check that they're not going damp at all. These should be okay. They're covered with a very, very light net type of fur, so they should be all right. However, I'm going to swing you around. Not so with my poor old dahlias, which were on a table in the Polytunnel, and I went to check them recently, and that was not too bad. Oh no, dropped the thing. Right, okay, let's see this one. Some of the tubers had started to go mouldy. You can see a little bit on that one. See? I think it'll be okay. You can manage to wipe most of it off. You can see I didn't take all the soil off, which doesn't help at all. But do check. If you're not going to be doing your dahlias for another couple of weeks, go and check that the tubers are healthy. I've got these just on a rack. This is why I've put them on a rack, so that... Oh my goodness, that's the wind coming through. A rack so that the air can get underneath. And I have got this. This isn't very light, but I'm moving it around quite a lot. Towel over the top, just to keep them protected from any frost. Camera's all over the place, isn't it there? Sorry about that. But yeah, greenhouse at the moment is, look, ready for the onslaught almost, and just filling up with bits and pieces. Raspberries have all been cut down now, which again is a pile of stuff that needs disposing of, shall we say. And the green that you can see in here is mostly strawberries that have been nestling down over winter and will start coming back very soon. So the raspberries have been pruned back. I have done a prune of my black currants, red currants and gooseberries, but you can see that another job I need to get done is a really good weed and tidy up in here so that I can top dress them. Probably chicken pellets or maybe some fish blood and bone, ready for the growing season, because they are starting to break into bud now and showing signs of life. The blueberries are also starting to come into bud now. If you look at these little tiny red buds here. So if I'm going to get them moved into the pots, which I want to do, I'm going to have to get a move on in the next couple of weeks before they really get going, because as I've said before, they just haven't done anything in this bed. It's had acidic soil, ericaceous soil, it's had coffee grounds, it's had all sorts on it, but they're just not happy here. So they're going to go into pots filled with more ericaceous soil and sunk probably back into this same bed, but just to give them a bit of a chance, because look, they're not dying. I know it's only end of February, but that's been in there 3 years now. Not good, is it? So yeah, we'll give them a bit of a break this year. Still some gaps in the broad beans, but that's absolutely fine. because what I might do is just direct sow some beans into those gaps, and then I'm going to be doing another spring sowing anyway for a slightly later crop, so I'm not too worried about that. But oh, let me show you this. This, I mean, look at the state of it, the poor thing. It just goes to show that net was far too big for it when we first put it over. But this is our purple sprout and broccoli, and I actually ate some the other day. I ate the terminal head. How wrong is that? It's delicious though. Right, okay, look. We've actually got proper little broccoli heads on there. And I absolutely love purple sprout and broccoli. So for me, this is going to be such a treat. I mean, to be honest, I've got to say, there's not much more on it. But I think the chickens have been... they've been benefiting from the leaves more than we have. But yeah, I'm going to leave that alone, and even if we only get one little crop from our purple sprout and broccoli, I'm going to be looking forward to it. All the garlic's up now. Nothing more to say about that other than it's doing really well. I might cover it in April, because we have had a problem with the allium leaf miner in the past, so just to be on the safe side, April, it sort of lays its eggs twice a year, and April is the early sort of session, so that's when they're going to be most active. So yeah, I might cover it in April, but for now, very pleased with it. Oh, and look at these there's a story behind these, which I'm not going to go into at the moment, but I will soon. But yeah, these are Shakespeare onions, and let's just say, when I was putting these in, I was busy chatting to somebody, and I was so busy chatting to someone that I kept forgetting where I'd put them, so I kept digging them up again and making sure I popped them in again. I was trying to fill any gaps, so they are the most erratic lines of onions you might ever see, but they've come up even with the big gaps, so yeah, that's something to look forward to. The strawberry bed is looking how it does at this time of year, which is quite dead, but yeah, this was planted up last year, so these are all second year plants. They'll have some new runners in there as well, so we're expecting, again, we're going to top dress them very shortly, but we're expecting a really good crop of strawberries this year. We didn't get such a good one last year, and I think it's because we'd moved them and split them, but fingers crossed this will be good. And I'll show you these two beds together if I can. This is where the beans were. So I think in the January tour we just had a whole load of bean canes and bean plants on the ground. Well, they've been chopped up and literally just dropped, and you can see they've pretty much disappeared into the ground. But we've made the decision that this year we are going to do trenches. We are actually going to do bean trenches, one along that side and a corresponding one along here, and we're going to fill it way before we plant the beans with anything we clear out of the chicken shed and comfrey and whatnot, and just have a really lovely nutrition packed trench for the beans, because I think they were okay last year, but they weren't as good as the year before, and much as we'd really like to do no dig, I think I'm going to give trenching another go with the beans. So yeah, so that's okay. We've got the top of here all covered up. None of that moved, you know. Can you hear the chickens? That's because I'm getting near and they think they're going to get some food. That's all covered up, which is okay. There'll just be dead beans all over there. This is what the beans all look like. Look. But this one, that's blown over, so that should be covering all of that. You might remember I sowed some green manure, and so on this side I had cardboard, on this side I had this tarpaulin thing, and in the middle I had green manure. Well, I've got to be honest, I'm not very impressed. Not that I'd be able to tell the difference between the green manure and the ordinary weeds. I think these are just weeds, although the weather hasn't really started to warm up yet. But yeah, we're going to give it a bit longer, but at least we know I tried. So it'll be interesting to compare at the end of the March tour and see if that will look any different to just a normal weedy patch of ground. Oh, you can see at the end there as well, look, that's my chard. lots of gaps in the chard because the chickens like it. Another storm casualty, Hawkeye down. The kale has been okay this year, but last year it was just fantastic. Let me see if we still got... Hey, maybe the whitefly have gone now. Because last time I picked some of this, there was so much whitefly up. But yeah, it's okay, but patchy to say the least. Again, I know we've been pulling up plants to give to the chickens, but we want to have a much better crop next year. And I've said this before, you have a good crop one year and you think that's it, you've cracked it, and the next year it doesn't come so good. So yeah, it'll encourage us to do a bit better next year. But the rest of this plot, as you'll see, needs sorting out. And this is one of the reasons I nearly didn't do a tour. Yeah, it's seen better days, but it won't take long. And these ladies here are waiting for a little bit of corn, but they're going to have to wait a little bit longer. The rhubarb is doing exactly what it should be. You can see we've been putting some chicken bedding around here. We don't put the chicken bedding directly onto the plants when we don't plant into it because it's way too hot, but just to use as a bit of a dressing around the outside is absolutely fine. But yeah, they're doing what they should be. So let's just take a little turn around and have a look and see what's going on in the polytunnel. Yeah, it's not what I was expecting, to be honest. Let me explain. The chickens have been under lockdown because of avian flu, and their run has been like Glastonbury at times. So we've been letting them in here to scratch, and as you can see, when they scratch, they really scratch. I mean, this is the path down the middle, but you can see it's just got covered. So because of that, we've had to cover the little bit of kale that I did have. So 1 and 2, we're leaving them in there just in case. And I'd completely forgotten I'd put a box on this kale. So let's just have a little look what's under here. There. Okay, and that is the sum total of what we've got growing in the polytunnel. I did have the dahlias on here, and this is where they'd gone a little bit mouldy. So I'll show you. What's this one? Is this one okay? Oh look, you can see. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier on. Might still be okay, but I don't know if I have to dust that with something or just clean it off, or whether it'll be okay. But yeah, it's just a bit of a mess, isn't it, really? So I'm showing you this in the hope that if you're a little bit worried that your garden isn't ready for spring, or it's a bit of a mess, or it's not as ideal as you'd like it to look, just have a little think back to our polytunnel. And I'm sure it'll help you feel that much better. But there's something we really... But something we've been getting on with over the last week is something that's been on our to-do list for quite a while, and that, look at these greedy birds, is extending the chicken run. And if I show you again, as I said just a moment ago, it's been like Glastonbury in here. So if you're thinking these poor old chickens are stuck in this terrible muddy enclosure, I can assure you they are very well spoiled. There's the perches that we made for them, the little chicken gym, which they seem to absolutely love. You can see now I was saying about the chard and the kale and all sorts of stuff just gets hung up there, and they tend to peck away at that. So that's been a success. But we decided a while ago that we wanted to extend the run. So it's sort of, if you think, it's like a T shape. So it's got this bit in the middle, which comes down here. It's got like a little annex there. And we decided that, come on girls, are you going to come and show me? Come on, come and show it off. We decided that we were going to then extend to this area, because to be honest, this is right under the apple tree. Nothing else grows here. but it just gives these little chugs a little bit extra space to come and scratch and peck and get out of each other's hair, and they do seem to like it. So it was lovely yesterday when we finally opened it up to the main part of the run over there, you know, and they came in one at a time. They were so excited. But yeah, it was grass yesterday. Look at it now. It doesn't take them long to scratch it up. But also, we put these 2 little perches on here, and Mike fashioned, he was very pleased with himself, fashioned a little wire net that he filled with dandelions and grass. And it was a partial success, but I must admit there's still quite a lot of it there, so I think maybe they haven't got quite used to jumping up there yet. But yeah, this is scope for improvement. It's its first full day in operation. They're in here, as you can see. Let's just have a little look at them. Scratching around. Look, what are you asking? One of them's just pecked my microphone on my bottom. That's cheeky. Okay, so yeah, so they're having a great time. So they are laying really well. We're getting 3 or 4 eggs a day out of 5 of them, so we're so pleased. But yeah, as you can see, the run also needs a bit of attention. We need to clear some of this old wood away, although they do seem to like old bits of wood hanging around the place. And one of the projects for spring, as it was from when we first built the coop, and we've got to replace some rungs on here as well, is to make a nice little window box there with some lavender in for them, just because sat in my microphone. Oh, I hope that's going to work now. Is that working? I think it is. Should I check? Probably. But I tell you what. Hello, Mary. So, why wasn't I going to do a February tour? Well, for one thing, today is February the 27th, and today not being a leap year means that by the time I get this all edited and out to you, it's at least going to be this evening. So it'll be valid for one day. And I was thinking to myself, is it worth doing it for one day? For one, there's not much difference to the January tour. For 2, there's so much mess. Not huge amounts of work, but there's so many prunings and hoeing and bits of net need picking up that I thought, oh, it's just a mess. And for 3, we had friends over. I was going to film this yesterday, but we had friends over the night before for something to eat, and we had a Thai red curry. And I've never had this mishap before, so I've never had this mishap before, so I've done quite well to get to my age without doing it. But I accidentally ate a whole red chilli. It wasn't good. It wasn't good, and that red chilli would not let me forget that I'd eaten it up all day yesterday, so there was no way I could have got any time at all to come up here and do my filming. So yeah, it did seem like the gods were against us to an extent, but I did think, even if I'm the only one who watches this, again, it gives me a reference point so that by next February I'll be able to look back and see what's growing and what's not. So yeah, and it's always just good to have a little chat with you and show you what's going on. So yeah, this week, this Tuesday is going to be March the 1st. So although it's not, which start of spring is it? I think it's the meteorological, there's a mouthful, start of spring. So I'm going to count that as the start of spring. We've got a lovely sunny day today. I think we're going to have rain all week, so I won't feel like spring at all on Tuesday. But I am desperate for spring to start. We've got crocuses, we've got tete-a-tete, we've had the snowdrops. In my eyes, on Tuesday, it's spring. So that means I'm going to start sowing seeds. I'm going to start my dahlias off, get them in some compost and get them starting to swell up again. I'm going to make sure I've got all the potatoes out chitting, and yeah, really start thinking about not, oh, I can tidy up and get ready for spring. Really start thinking about, right, we better get going now. So that means that the kitchen table will disappear. That means that several of the windowsills in the house will disappear, and probably several small tables in the house will all get utilised and lined up in front of the windows that haven't got windowsills. For about a month to 6 weeks, we're going to have to be very careful we don't walk into a table and knock it over, which is what usually happens. So wherever you are, if you can, get outside, just breathe in some fresh air and think, we're almost there, we're almost through the worst of the winter, and we've got quite a lot to look forward to. So take care, subscribe, come and say hello on Instagram, Facebook, all those things, all the links are down below, and leave me some nice comments. Okay, it's lovely to hear from you, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye for now. Are you asleep?